wholeness. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthems of Jamaica and the United States. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. We warmly welcome our special guests, representatives from Canada, France, Mexico, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. We'd also like to acknowledge representatives of the Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, the Caribbean Community Implementing Agency for Crime and Security, the Regional Security System, the Inter-American Defense Board, and the Inter-American Defense College. At this time, I invite the Chief of Defense Staff of the Jamaica Defense Force, Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman, to provide her opening remarks. Ma'am.
The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, joining us virtually. The Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. Major General Retired Anthony Anderson, Commissioner of Police. Ambassador Alison Stone-Roof, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security. Other representatives of ministries, departments, agencies of government of Jamaica. General Laura Richardson, Commander, United States Southern Command and co-host for CANSEC 2023. Fellow Chiefs of Staff and Chiefs of Defense Staff from across the Caribbean and Latin America. Regional Commissioners of Police. Other senior defense and security officials. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Jones, CARICOM Impacts. Other representatives of the CARICOM Secretariat and other regional and international organizations, members of the JDF and the U.S. Southern Command, media representatives, other specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Jamaica. It is my pleasure this morning to extend a very warm welcome to you to Jamaica for the 2023 staging of the annual Caribbean Nations Security Conference, CANSEC. Your presence at this meeting is yet another clear demonstration of your commitment to the cooperative approach required to address the crime and security challenges impacting our region. I must extend my thanks to you, General Laura Richardson, for inviting the JDF to partner with the U.S. Southcom in the staging of this important annual conference. The JDF and the U.S. Southcom have long enjoyed a very strong partnership, and we continue to build on our shared objectives and mutual respect. I therefore view the hosting of CANSEC 2023 as further evidence of our strong partnership. As we come together to discuss measures to address the various threats impacting our borders and the region as a whole, many of us continue to be confronted with the rising negative impact of transnational organized crime in our societies. It has always been our position within the Caribbean that given our shared geographic space and shared challenges, a cohesive and coordinated approach is necessary to ensure our security and our development prospects. This remains true even more so today. It is against this backdrop that this year's CANSEC is being held under the theme, Strengthening Regional Security Through Informed Action. This year's theme deliberately captures what is required of us as security and defense officials. We must strengthen our approach to both long-standing, new, and emerging threats impacting our region. Naturally, within this conference's timeframe, our focus has to be limited, and to that end, we will focus our attention on cybersecurity and cyber defense, climate change, and environmental threats. In a February 2022 statement at the 23rd meeting of the Council for National Security and Law Enforcement, the CARICOM Secretary General, Dr. Carla Bennett, identified cybercrime as the third largest security concern behind the situation in Haiti, trafficking and human smuggling, which faces the region. If we consider this statement, in addition to the fact that according to PricewaterhouseCoopers Global Economic Crime and Fraud Survey of 2022, cybercrime stands out among 19 categories of economic crime as the most widespread and the most disruptive event experienced over the last 2 years in the world. It is evident, therefore, that as security and defense officials, we must enhance our efforts to combat this growing threat, which impacts individual citizens and governments, as well as our own organizations. As Caribbean nations, we are also at significantly high risk to damage caused by natural events such as hurricanes, floods, and the impact of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Among the questions that we must ask ourselves is what role as security defense officials, what is our role as security and defense officials and first responders in these scenarios? How do we improve our response capabilities and capacity? Do we have a role in the mitigation? These are but a fraction of the considerations I hope our discussion on these topics will spark over the period of this conference or the duration. A strengthened approach to regional security requires that our conversation on these critical issues do not end here. General Richardson and I implore you to designate focal points to carry out the necessary follow-up activity based on the decisions and discussions we'll have over the course of the conference. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the task before us is immense and perhaps more challenging than it has been in any other time in our history. The answer to our shared challenges lie in combining our strengths and helping each other to overcome our respective weaknesses. Only then can we hope to provide the levels of security that our people need and desire. I thank you all for taking the time to be here to engage in these critical discussions. And I also look forward to continuing to work alongside you as we move toward strengthening the security of our region. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the hardworking team from the US Southcom and the local embassy and my team from the JDF who have been the foundation for a successful conference. Thank you for your efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, let us have a good conference. Thank you.
And thank you, Admiral Weems Gorman. I now invite General Laura Richardson, Commander of the United States Southern Command, for her opening remarks.
Good morning, everybody. Wagwan. Did I say it right? Wagwan. When we're in Jamaica, we have to say the things that, that Jamaica says to everybody. And so we practiced this last night. And welcome, everyone. It's good to see everybody here smiling. We're in beautiful Montego Bay. And what a pleasure it is to be back in Jamaica. Gathered with so many of our partners, our allies and friends to discuss the many important issues facing our region. And I want to thank each of you for being here at the Caribbean Nations Security Conference of 2023. Rear Admiral Weems Gorman, thank you for the warm introduction, the warm welcome to your country. Deputy Prime Minister Chang, sir, thank you so much for being here today. Prime Minister Holness, Your Excellency, he's going to speak after me. Thank you so much for welcoming us to your beautiful country and for hosting this year's CANSEC. Jamaica's sparkling blue beaches, hills of the cockpit country, and cascading waterfalls are so beautiful, and the Jamaican people are so welcoming. Thank you for your gracious hospitality. I want to welcome the Caribbean ministers, chiefs of defense, and police commissioners. There are a total of 21 nations that are represented here today for this conference. We have multinational organizations. We have SEDEMA, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CARICOM Impacts, the Implementation Agency for Crime and Security, and the Regional Security System, RSS. Additionally, I'd like to welcome the U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission, Amy Tochko, who's sitting up there at the on the front table as well. Our Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Dan Erickson, for the Western Hemisphere. Dan, thanks for being here. And our U.S. Department of State for Caribbean Affairs, Catherine Beamer. We also have in attendance many observers from our regional partners and allied nations and institutions such as the Inter-American Defense Board, the Perry Center, and the Inter-American Defense College. We also have the adjutant generals from Florida, South Dakota, U.S. Virgin Islands, Washington, D.C., Delaware, and Louisiana. And so I really appreciate the partnership with our National Guard State Partnership Program. The security threats we collectively face have increased in scope and intensity since we were together in Barbados during last year's conference. Vital elements of democracy, such as free and fair elections, plurality, and separation of powers, are still under attack. Climate change and environmental degradation remain threat multipliers and pose a significant risk to our security. The fallout of COVID-19 continues to impact our economies, the malign activities of transnational criminal organizations, and our strategic competitors, such as the People's Republic of China, Russia, and Iran, still remain. And the dire situation in Haiti casts a shadow over the region. The fact is, these transboundary threats demand our attention as they place an undue burden on our citizens. The magnitude of these cross-cutting challenges is a call to action and requires each of us to work together to confront these threats. We are gathered at a critical moment where we have a chance to further reinforce the shared values, the shared democratic values that form the foundation of our partnerships. This Caribbean region matters to the Western Hemisphere and to the world. It is so important. And at the same time as we gather here in Jamaica with defense and security forces for this CANSEC conference, we have United States Vice President Kamala Harris meeting with our diplomatic from the Caribbean in the Bahamas to address global warming and climate change. This year, with the 50th anniversary of CARICOM, we are committed to strengthening regional security in the Caribbean through informed action. And during this conference, we will focus our efforts on two big challenges facing the hemisphere: cybersecurity and climate change, and climate and environmental security. So cybersecurity, climate change, and environmental security. The results of our hard work will lead to the CANSEC 23 joint statement. This joint statement will help guide and ensure our momentum of continued collaboration and progress for CANSEC 24, so that we're not just talking about the challenges, we're committed to doing something about them. In the cyber domain, malign state actors such as China, Russia, and Iran, along with non-state cyber criminal and hacktivist groups, operate in the gray zone. Below the threshold of armed conflict, they deploy advanced and low-cost tools to influence, undermine, and destabilize societies. These malign cyber actors are steadily increasing the size and scope of their attacks on government and non-government institutions alike. Operations in the gray zone aim to establish access, steal sensitive data, and utilize disinformation and misinformation to influence the decision-making of governments, private industry, and everyday citizens. These malign cyber activities pose a deep threat to international norms and to our collective security. Cyber is an all-encompassing domain capable of affecting every sector of society. As a result, cybersecurity is everyone's business, and we must all work together to effectively counter the threats. At the same time, Russia is trying to manipulate regional partner nation populations through disinformation campaigns and malign cyber activities. Through these campaigns, Russia continues to support the authoritarian regimes of Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba. These regimes are providing regional access to malign actors with ties to terrorism, placing an undue risk to our security and to our people. We must ensure that we remain vigilant and ready to counter any perceived or actual threats. As partners, these efforts present an opportunity to raise awareness and collective communications on how to degrade threatening posture that challenge the growth and the prosperity in many shared areas such as science, technology, and security. We must remain committed to exchanging best practices on cybersecurity while sharing and exposing the nefarious activities of our adversaries. Alternatively, climate change continues to be a critical issue that negatively affects military readiness as well as security. This threat expands mission requirements, degrades readiness, and diminishes military resources. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has said no nation can find lasting security without addressing the climate crisis. Unrestricted by borders, extreme weather events like hurricanes, droughts, wildfires, and flooding continue to ravage the region with increasing frequency and cause grave harm to the region's health, food, water, energy, and socioeconomic development. Look no further than just last year, when Hurricane Fiona slammed into the Dominican Republic, Hurricane Ian decimated parts of western Florida and Cuba, and Hurricane Julia resulted in devastating flooding, landslides, crop destruction, and deaths in Central America. The numbers don't lie. Land temperatures across the Caribbean, and specifically at the Norman Manley International Airport here in Jamaica, have risen to by almost 2 degrees Fahrenheit since 1950, with the surrounding sea temperature rising the same amount since the start of the 20th century. Correlated to the rise in sea temperatures, the number of named storms and hurricanes across the Atlantic Basin have increased significantly from 1850 to 2015. Additionally, it's imperative that we recognize the damage to the environment caused by state-owned enterprises from countries like the People's Republic of China and their mega projects. And these mega projects are causing river erosion, polluting water, destroying fertile land, and destabilizing the delicate ecosystems relied by citizens for their subsistence. These projects fall below international standards and lack environmental guidelines, safety standards, and worker protections, which leaves countries and their people to deal with the harmful consequences. Inaction leads each of our nations down a path where viability of our infrastructure, economies, and security is jeopardized. Together, we will address these existential threats. We have important work ahead of us today. This is a chance for like-minded partners to roll up our sleeves and strengthen our regional security. We can no longer simply discuss the issues, we must act. Our actions today will further solidify our foundation of shared democratic values and set the stage for future CANSECs. Together we are and will continue to be stronger, more prosperous, and more secure than ever before. Thank you very much. Let's have a great conference.
Thank you very much, General Richardson. And now invite the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, for his opening remarks via our virtual platform. Prime Minister.
Thank you, moderator. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to sunny Jamaica. I sincerely apologize for the rains, though locally we are, I must confess, very happy because it could possibly mean a break in our ongoing drought. But allow me to acknowledge our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Horace Chang, Ms. Amy Kachko, Deputy Chief of Mission of the United States Embassy in Jamaica, Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman, and the General Laura Richardson, hosts of CANSEC 2023, our Commissioner of Police, Major General Anthony Anderson, Chiefs of Defense Staff and Commissioners of Police from across the region, Commissioner Stuart Beckford, Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Jones, Head of CARICOM Impacts, representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies of the Government of Jamaica, representatives of the CARICOM Secretariat and other regional and international organizations, senior defense and security officials, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and allow me to specially acknowledge a good friend of Jamaica, Daniel Erickson, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Western Hemisphere. It gives me great pleasure to join you this morning for the opening of the Caribbean Nations Security Conference, CANSEC 2023, which is being held under the theme, Strengthening Regional Security Through Informed Action. Security is one of the greatest challenges affecting the lives of our people and the development prospects of our individual states. In April, when I addressed the Regional Symposium on Crime and Violence and Public Health Issues in Trinidad and Tobago, I highlighted the fact that Latin America and the Caribbean have an average of 15 homicides per 100,000 of population. compared to a global average of approximately 6 per 100,000. It is a reality that our region, Latin America and the Caribbean, is a high violence region. It is for this more informed approach to combat crime and violence in the region and improve regional security. Our region neither produces small arms, the weapons of choice for criminals, nor do we produce ammunition. Nationally, we have enhanced measures at our ports of entry to interdict illegal weapons, and while these measures continue to bear fruit, the high levels of homicide and shooting signal that more needs to be done, including by producer nations. As we continue to work alongside our trusted US partners, we in the region look forward to significant strides in the control of the flow of weapons and ammunition. CANSEC represents an important opportunity for regional security practitioners, bilateral partners, and partners from regional organizations and academia to have frank discussions on the actions required to change our present reality from a high violence region to one that is safe and secure. This annual forum also serves to reinforce our determination not only to work together, but also to successfully combat the range of threats and challenges that we face. The threats to our regional security, and by extension, our long-term development, are multifaceted and diverse in nature. They include the prevalence of gangs and gang activity, transnational organized crime, in particular, drugs and small arms trafficking, cyber attacks, threat to food and energy supplies, and of particular concern, significant levels of youth involvement in criminal activities. Nationally, in addition to these threats, we continue to treat with the negative impact of lottery scamming or advanced fee fraud, as it is called, and the attendant consequence of those activities. Regionally, along with our international partners, we continue to grapple with the means of treating with the continuously deteriorating security situation in Haiti. Let me assure you that Jamaica remains seized of the issues in Haiti, and we continue to work assiduously with other nations to assist Haiti to find a solution. We continue to develop our good office's role, two significant components of which are the appointment of an eminent persons group of retired prime ministers and the facilitation of a consensus building engagement of diverse Haitian stakeholders in Jamaica from the 11th to the 13th of June. Additionally, we continue to explore how we can assist the training of the Haitian National Police. Strengthening regional security is a long-standing priority for the countries represented in this room, and for various regional and sub-regional organizations, many of which are present for today's discussions. A key ingredient in strengthening regional security is enhanced cooperation among the states in the region. Time and time again, the evidence underscores the vital importance of cooperation and concerted action to successfully address our shared security threats and challenges. We continue to face the challenge of inadequate resources relative to the nature and scale of the threats we face, both at the national and regional levels. The unwavering commitment of the persons in this room and those who put their lives on the line daily to achieve and maintain security remains the most important element in the fight against crime and violence in the region. Today, the efforts of regional security forces, to one extent or another, have been buttressed by more advanced tools and equipment that together facilitate real-time monitoring of our borders and information sharing. Capacity and capability building cannot be overlooked. In a number of instances, in spite of these tools, too often, bureaucracy gets in the way. We continue to encourage the building of partnerships, information sharing, and the conclusion of implementable bilateral and multilateral agreements remain the backbone of our success in the fight against transnational organized crime. When I addressed the Regional Security Forum, I also preferred that in addition to incorporating more advanced tools and intelligence-driven investigation, we must begin to envision a comprehensive and more complete solution, one which focuses beyond the symptoms which manifest as crime and violence to a far deeper analysis of the social, cultural, and historical factors that drive aggression, lack of respect for authority, low socio-emotional regulation, antisocial behavior, and a lack of value for the sanctity of life. As we contemplate solutions over the coming years, let us not forget the importance of addressing the root causes of crime and violence and the importance of enhancing our partnerships with academia and think tanks, both within and external to the region. These organizations have a significant role to play in helping us to devise implementable and sustainable solutions that treat with the root causes of the high levels of crime and violence that we are currently experiencing. I take note that this year's discussion will also focus on cyber defense and the impact of climate change on environmental security. Two key challenges that, when coupled with the traditional threats to the region, have the potential to further undermine our regional security and development. The focus of these particular issues is also particularly timely, as the small economies of the region continue to recover from the economic fallout caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and put in place mechanisms to transform their economies to use the power of digital technologies. It is important that we understand, prepare for, and adequately harden our systems to reduce the impact of cyber threats. Naturally, capacity building will form an important aspect of these efforts. I'm therefore pleased that one of the JDF's newest centers for the delivery of professional military education, the Caribbean Institute for Cyber Science, focuses on this very issue. We look forward to receiving students as well as instructors from across the region to assist in the delivery of critical courses that will enhance this capacity in the region. It is perhaps fortuitous that we are discussing this matter at the start of the 2023 hurricane season. Matters related to climate change and environmental security are now at the top of our minds. In this region, we are all too familiar with the astronomical costs to individuals, communities, companies, and the national economy because of the natural weather events such as hurricanes, flooding, or earthquakes. We must now focus on determining the true extent of the impact of these scenarios on the security sector. At the same time, however, we must begin to examine how security and defense can contribute to reducing these environmental footprint. I look forward to the recommendations emanating from these discussions, including how we can infuse planning for disaster scenarios into the annual plan of activities for our defense and security sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not have to tell this audience that there are no quick fixes in the area of security. Our successes against the threat that we continue to face requires an unrelenting focus and commitment on all our parts. It also requires consistent evaluation and analysis to ensure the effectiveness of our efforts, as well as the willingness to correct course when we assess that the measures we implement are not bearing fruit. It also requires a regular forum for a meeting of the professional minds so that we can best determine what additional measures may be required to strengthen our efforts from a regional perspective. This is what CANSEC provides. I want to thank the team from the JDF and US Southcom for their efforts in organizing this year's CANSEC conference. Let me extend my best wishes for your successful deliberation and discussions over the next 2 days. More importantly, we look forward to the outcome of your discussions, which will be an important addition to the approaches being contemplated and implemented across the region. I commend you once again for your unwavering commitment to regional security and safety for all. I thank you and have a good conference.
Thank you, Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. At this time, I invite the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Rear Admiral Weems Gorman, General Richardson, those seated at the head table, their respective senior enlisted leaders, allied representatives, police commissioners, and adjutants general to take the official CANSEC 2023 photograph. You will proceed out of the conference room, turn right, proceed up the staircase, then walk outside onto the terrace. For all others, we will have a 15-minute coffee break. I ask, please, that you be seated promptly in 15 minutes in order to continue the conference on schedule. There is coffee just outside the conference room, and if you need to use the facilities, please turn left after departing the conference room. See you in 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.